is the great benefits of digital ID.
So the UK government, of course, have announced their plans for digital identification, and recently they're drip feeding us information by telling us what the requirements may be and what we may need digital identification for. Obviously, a petition went live and millions of people have signed it, but it wasn't until the government actually responded to that, which we covered in a recent video, that we actually started to understand what it was that they actually were planning on doing. And more recently, when Keir Starmer spoke at an India trade conference, he actually elaborated a little bit more on digital identification, and to be honest, red flag after red flag. In today's video, we're going to talk about the restrictions that are going to be placed on employment and banking, and in general, what the British public's concerns on it is. But very quickly, if you're looking for a VPN, make sure you check out private internet access at the link down below. They don't keep any logs or track what you do online, and it enables you to change your location on your device from 91 countries and 50 US states. If you want to save yourselves 86% off and get 4 months free, make sure you check out the link down below. So when that petition went live and when the UK government responded and actually elaborated on a bit more detail in the replies, they said that the digital identification system won't be mandatory. However, if you want to have a job, earn money, get a house, rent a house, or pretty much do anything in the UK, you will need digital ID. So it is mandatory. Now, of course, this left a big question mark in everyone's minds about, okay, well, what are the actual rules here? What are they implementing and how does it work? Well, luckily for you, no, they still haven't answered that, but Keir Starmer recently made a speech and it concerned everyone. In this speech, he stated about how Estonia's system of digital identification, which by the way, massive security flaw, doesn't work. Some people find it easier, most people hate it. But he stated that it's a really great way to make banking easier.
One of the things on digital ID that I do think we need to emphasise and make the case for, frankly, is the great benefits of digital ID. You can see from Estonia the speed with which people can access services that are available to them, which have been transformational, and there's great enthusiasm in Estonia for it. Here in India, I think it's 1 billion people have digital ID. It's been taken up on a voluntary basis in huge numbers. Not least because it means that you can access your own money, make payments so much more easily than is available with others. So I think now we need to go out and make that case of the huge benefits that this will bring. There needs to be a national debate about it, and I think that the more people see the benefits that come with this, the more, as has happened in other countries, people say that will make my life easier, and therefore I want to get on with it.
Now in Estonia, that's not too concerning due to how small their population is. There's many cities in the UK that have 5, 6, 7 times more people in those cities than Estonia has their entire country. But what is actually really concerning is how UK banks operate. So in the UK, we have a sort of centralised banking system where the major banks all work together to make sure that they all follow the same protocol, restrictions, laws and safety guidelines. So things like biometric data to be able to send large transfers, which by the way are done on device, not by the bank, so they're safer. All of those things are centralised into a network, so every bank roughly works the same. Obviously this has the issue of the government being able to see and track transactions, but at the same time they all follow the same compliance, so you know that pretty much every major bank in the UK is just as safe as one another. Now, when it comes to digital ID being implemented, every single one of those banking systems is going to need digital identification. And the reason I say this is because they will not lag behind. The UK government will say to those banks, okay, we need this to be tied to people's accounts so we can make it more secure, safer, whatever excuse they want to use. And I can pretty much guarantee within the first couple of weeks of it being introduced, you will need it to log into your bank. Or at the very minimum, you will log into your banking app and they will ask you to update your digital ID or link it to your account, and they may give you a timing out period of like 6 weeks where you have to link it, otherwise you'll lose access to your accounts. But how do I know this? Well, NatWest, HSBC, Lloyds and many of the British banks introduced the same thing for biometric scans for large transfers. If you transfer more than £5,000, you need to do a biometric scan. And when they introduced that back in 2023, they gave you a 6-week window, otherwise you'll get locked out of transactions. So what does this mean? Well, we know that digital ID will be linked to your banking, but will that be reversed? Will your banking be visible on your digital ID? Well, yes. Because the government can already access our bank accounts, but our bank accounts at the moment are only linked to one form of ID, which actually, if you've set up your bank account prior to 2020 probably still won't be on file. But with digital identification, your bank account will be tied to your identification. So the British government can see who spent what, at where, when, how, what card you used, etc. and maybe even figure out and come to their own conclusions to as why, which is already concerning within itself. Digital identification is going to become the standard in the UK for identifying people, because for the banks and for all these corporations, it is just easier. For them, it's easier. They don't need to request PIN numbers, they don't need to request two-factor authentication, they don't need to request even biometric scans. Once they've got your digital ID, they know who you are. And yes, I got to say it will probably make banking in the UK easier. But we don't care. Banking in the UK is what it is. Many people use simpler, more modern banking solutions like Revolut or Monzo just to transfer money to their friends. I would happily make banking 5 times more complicated to not link my digital identification to it so the government can see the last time I paid my phone bill. This is the problem with the flexibility of British laws. They'll say things like, you don't need it, we didn't make it a legal requirement, but if you don't do it, you can't do anything. And what they'll do is they'll regulate the businesses and the companies like the banks, like the phone networks, to make sure that they request digital ID as a forefront thing rather than driving license or a copy of your passport for identification or a utility bill. They'll regulate it from the corporate level, and then if we don't abide by it, we lose access to those services. I just want to point out this is exactly the same ethos and methodology that corporations like Apple, like Samsung, like Meta, this is exactly how they institute demand for their products. They go from the top down. In fact, we can talk about the whole side of enshittification, which is actually linked directly into this, and you can do your own research on that. But the government's taking the exact same approach when it comes to tracking us. And it genuinely does worry me. Make sure you check out private internet access at the link down below, get 4 months free and 86% off. And a massive thank you to all of you for watching this video. If you did enjoy, please make sure to like and subscribe, and I shall see you all in the next one.